Hello, hello. Welcome to Trust Your Birth Tuesday. This space is all about cutting through the noise, debunking the fear-based stuff that we've been told about birth, and helping you feel genuinely confident going into your own. I'm Coco. I'm a doula and a mom of two and someone who's been exactly where you are. As a birth coach and doula, I've helped hundreds of women shift from feeling anxious about birth to feeling completely prepared. I know firsthand how overwhelming it can feel, but I also know exactly what it takes to go into labor feeling confident no matter what happens. Before we dive in, I want you to do something with me real quick. Go ahead and close your eyes just for a second. Take a deep breath in. Good. And as you exhale, I want you to picture yourself in labor. Maybe you're at home. Maybe you're at the hospital. Your contractions are starting to get stronger. What is the first fear that popped into your mind? Was it, I wonder if I'll be able to handle the pain? Was it, what if I lose control completely? Or maybe it was, what if something goes wrong? Now, open your eyes. You are not alone in those fears. Almost every woman that I work with has those same exact thoughts. And here's the wild part. Most women are doing all the right things to prepare, but they still feel really unready or unprepared when labor starts. That was me with my first birth. I was so prepared. I read all the books, I checked off the to-do list, but there was still this lingering question of what if I actually can't do it? Because what I realized later is that I was preparing for the version of the birth I expected, not the birth I might actually have. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Because most women think that they're preparing for birth, but they're actually preparing for an ideal scenario. And when labor doesn't go exactly as planned, they start to feel overwhelmed, afraid, and out of control. So today we're diving into the real reason that most women don't feel ready for their unmedicated birth and how we can fix that. It's probably not what you think. So let's start with this first big reason. You're focused on the surface, not the substance. Most women think that preparing for an unmedicated birth actually just means checking things off a list, right? The perfect birth plan, the right playlist, a fully packed hospital bag, and all those things. Yes, they're super helpful, but they're not actually what's going to get you through labor. Let me ask you this. Have you ever planned something down to the smallest detail and then real life had a plans, right? Maybe it was your wedding. Maybe it was a big trip. Maybe it was just your date night with your husband. You had it all mapped out, but then maybe the weather changed, a flight got delayed, or perhaps your kid or your dog got sick. Now, tell me, was it your ability to plan that saved you in that scenario? Or was it your ability to adapt, right? That is birth. You can plan for birth, but you need to prepare for birth. When I was pregnant with my first, I had everything planned. I'm a true planner, type A personality for sure. My birth plan was written, my affirmations were ready, and my hospital bag was packed, probably way before it needed to be. But when labor started, honestly, none of that mattered. What actually mattered was how I was handling each contraction, how I managed my mindset when things started to get really intense, how I connected with my body's instincts. Because here is the truth. Labor is not going to follow a checklist. It doesn't care if you made a plan. And this is where most the mamas that I work with and that I see get stuck. They've done everything right. So when things start feeling out of control, panic starts to set in. They think, why does this feel so much harder than I expected? I thought I was prepared. But the problem lies that most women start at the top of what I call the preparation pyramid instead of at that foundation level. They're focusing on logistics, on logistical readiness. That's what they're focusing on first: the birth plans, the hospital bag, making sure the nursery is ready, timing contractions, all of those things. And maybe, just maybe, they're focusing on the physical readiness. So movement or prenatal fitness, different labor positions. But what I see a lot of people missing out on and what they're skipping is the mental readiness, which is the foundation to being prepared for birth. Here's the thing: if you don't have that mental readiness, the rest of the pyramid won't hold up. So the logistics and the physical preparation are going to go out the window if you are missing that mental readiness component. Let me put it this way. If birth was like climbing a mountain, most people think the best way to prepare would be mapping out the exact trail, checking the weather, packing the right gear. All of that's super important. But when you're deep in the climb, the map isn't going to help you when you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or facing a steep incline that you didn't expect. You know what actually matters in that scenario? Your endurance, your ability to manage discomfort, your confidence in taking the next step. And even when you can't see the top, right? That's why a birth plan alone isn't going to make you feel ready for labor. Now, most women think, as long as I have a birth plan, I'll feel confident. But when labor starts and things don't go exactly as written, the birth plan is not the thing that's helping you cope. It's not going to help you breathe through your contractions. It's not going to calm your nervous system when you start to doubt yourself. And it's not going to remind you that you are strong enough to do this. Here is a quick mindset shift for you that I want you to think about. The wrong question is, how do I make sure that everything goes according to plan? The right question is, how do I prepare myself to handle whatever comes? Because in birth, control isn't about what happens. It's about how you prepared to respond to what happens. And that honestly is where most women struggle the most. If birth doesn't go exactly as planned, will you still feel confident? Will you still feel strong? Will you still feel grounded? That is what preparation is all about. And that's what leads us into the second reason why most women don't feel ready for an unmedicated birth. Because even if they know that they need more than a plan, they don't actually know how to prepare their mind and body for what's ahead. So here's what most people won't tell you. I don't hold anything back. That's what you guys should know about me. The biggest challenge in labor isn't the pain. Okay, let that sink in. The biggest challenge in an unmedicated birth is not the pain. It's what your mind does in response to the pain. Pain itself is not the problem. It's the fear-pain tension cycle. That's what makes contractions feel unbearable. That's when people give up, when they're stuck in that cycle. And if you don't have a plan for breaking out of that cycle and for handling the fear, it's going to take over. Think about the last time you were in pain. Maybe you stubbed your toe. Maybe it was something worse. You had a bad headache, or even maybe you pulled a muscle. What was your first reaction? Right? Most people tense up. That's the natural reaction. They clench their jaw, they hold their breath, they resist the pain. But that's the thing, that resistance, that actually makes pain worse. And in labor is an entirely different kind of pain. And that is what no one talks about. It's not pain from injury. It's not your body saying, whoa, 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 something is wrong. It's functional pain. It's your body doing exactly what it was designed to do. But your brain doesn't automatically know that, right? Your brain is not filtering the two types of pain. And so if you don't prepare for this, here is what could happen. You're going to feel a strong contraction. Then your brain is going to register as a threat. It's just going to understand that there's pain and it's going to go, whoa, hold on. Then fear is going to kick in. Automatically, you're going to start to think, I can't do this. This is too much. Then your body is going to have that natural response of tensing up. You're going to clench your jaw. You're going to hold your breath. You're going to tense your muscles. That tension is now going to make your contraction feel even worse. The pain increases. The fear gets stronger. That is the fear, pain, tension cycle that I am telling you about. And once you are in it, it is almost impossible to break. And that's what I see so many women get stuck in when they're in labor. They're physically capable of handling it, but their mind is working against them. So the mental readiness piece, the emotional preparation of getting ready for birth is often the most overlooked, but it is the most important part of preparing for your unmedicated birth. I cannot stress this enough. You can practice positions. You can take a birth class. You can read every book on labor. But if you do not train your mind to work with you and work with your body instead of against it, you will feel unprepared no matter how much you've studied. Okay? Over the years, I have worked with so many women who feel physically ready for birth, but when labor starts, fear takes over. Okay. I knew it in my bones that there had to be a better way. I saw all of these women that had prepared so much having fear take over. So I developed a system to shift women from panic to power in labor. And that's exactly what I teach my birth coaching clients. I call it acknowledge, anchor, and act. It's a difference between a woman who panics in transition and a woman who knows exactly how to bring herself back to the center. So while I don't have time today just for this class, I don't have time to get fully into acknowledge, anchor, and act, but I am going to give you a sneak peek because I don't want to leave you hanging of how it works. So the first step is acknowledge. Okay. Most women, when they feel fear, they're going to try to shut it out. They're going to try to push it away. But the thing is when you resist, whatever you resist is going to persist. Okay. The first step is to name it without judgment. Instead of I'm freaking out, I can't do this, you can say, this is intense. This is labor. I'm doing this. I want you to try this right now. I want you to say it out loud. This is intense. This is labor. And I'm doing it. Okay? It sounds so small, right? It sounds so small. It sounds so simple. But here's why it really matters. When you name fear, it loses its grip. You've acknowledged it. It shifts from controlling you to something that you can work with. Now, here's where most women get stuck. They stop at, maybe they just stop acknowledging the fear. They don't know how to move forward. And honestly, that's when the real shift is going to happen. In my coaching, I teach my clients exactly what to do after that step, because if you stop there, you're stuck. Most women get stuck in this loop of awareness without action. They recognize, okay, I'm scared, I'm there, but they don't know how to shift into a calm and focused state. And that is what changes everything. Because the difference between a woman who breaks down in transition and a woman who stays in control is not luck. It's all about training and preparation. Your body already knows how to give birth, but your mindset needs to be taught how to trust the process. Because when labor is at its most intense, you're going to either freeze, panic, resist the process, or you're going to step into the challenge, lean into the intensity, and keep going. And that choice, that is what's going to determine how you experience birth. So let me ask you, if labor started right now, right this very second, Do you have a plan for handling the fear? Not a birth plan, not a pain management plan, a plan for handling the fear, for keeping yourself mentally strong when it gets hard. Because that is exactly how you prepare for birth. And that brings me to the third reason that most women don't feel prepared for their unmedicated births. They're expecting their support system to just know how to help. I want to talk about the biggest mistake I see when it comes to birth prep. Most women assume that if their partner is in the room, they're just going to know how to help. Most women are doing all the research, they're reading all the books, they're taking all the classes, but their partner isn't. They're left out of the equation. And the women think that they'll automatically step up, they're going to say the right things, they're going to support them when they need. But the truth is, birth support is not instinctual, it's learned. Having your partner physically present in the room with you is not going to be the same thing as having them fully prepared. And I want you to imagine this for a second. Just take a second. You can close your eyes if you want to. You've never played in a championship game before. Never. You've never trained for it. You've never studied for it. But then all of a sudden, somebody just throws you into the field and everyone looks at you like, hey, go, you've got this. How confident are you feeling right now? This is exactly what happens when we expect our partners to just figure it out in labor. They've never done this before. They don't know what to expect. They don't have a game plan. And when labor starts getting intense, they're standing there feeling helpless, thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't want to mess this up. And this is the part that no one talks about. If your partner feels unsure, you are going to feel that energy in birth. Women are incredibly intuitive during labor. If your support person is nervous, distracted, or unsure, you're going to sense that, even if they're not saying a word. And that uncertainty, it's going to shake your confidence. But when your partner or your husband is calm, confident, and knows exactly how to support you, that is what changes everything. And this is why I don't just teach birth prep, I teach partner prep, because support is not just about being there, it's about knowing how to show up. One of the biggest shifts that I see in my birth coaching clients is when their partners go from feeling unsure to feeling confident and completely capable. Birth isn't just about you. It's about your support system. And when your partner is prepared, your whole birth experience is going to change. And that's why I created the Confidence Compass, so that partners know exactly how to support you in the most intense moments of labor. So I'm just going to give you one small step of the compass because we don't have enough time in today's class to go into it fully. But instead of asking, what should I do? Your partner should ask, what does she need? Right? Don't let them freeze in that, what do I need to do next? That perfect plan. That tiny shift alone can change the whole energy in the room, because birth isn't about doing. It's about learning how to read the room, sensing what you need, and showing up in the right way at the right time. That's what your partner needs to learn. And here's an example of how this can play out in real life. So during my first birth, I was laying in the tub. The warm water was really soothing. I loved it. But after a while, I started to overheat. So I had this feeling of like, I don't want to leave the comfort of the warm water, but I'm feeling really warm. I didn't want to say anything because I was like in the zone. I was in transition. I was focused. I had these sensations happening, but I didn't really know what to do with them. I was really deep in labor and I didn't want to move. So without me asking, my husband actually grabbed some cold washcloths and placed them on my neck, on my forehead, on my face, and it helped me cool down while still having that comfort of warm water. He didn't do this just out of luck or out of magic. He did this because he was prepared to read my cues because of how much work we had done when I was pregnant. And I know this sounds really small, but this is what good support looks like. It's not about just standing there waiting to be asked what to do. It's about sensing what you need before you even have to ask. It's about knowing the difference when you need encouragement and when you need quiet. And that is what's going to make a great birth partner. And here's what I want you to ask yourself. If labor started right now, does your partner know how to support you? Would your partner just do that same thing that I just mentioned in that scenario? Not physically, but does he know how to support you emotionally? Do they know how to recognize when you're shifting into a different stage of labor? Do they know how to advocate for you without making you feel like you have to fight for yourself? Because the thing is you don't just need people in the room. You need people who are prepared with you. And that's one of the biggest reasons that women don't feel fully ready for birth, because even if they're prepared, maybe they don't feel fully supported. And that doesn't mean that your partner is not wanting to support you. They just don't know how. And if your partner's not confident, you're going to feel that. But when they are, birth now becomes something that's not just supported. Now you feel empowered. So let's recap what we covered in this short little class here. We talked about how real preparation isn't about the checklist. It's about resilience. We talked about how emotional readiness, mental readiness is the foundation of having that confidence to have an unmedicated birth. And then we talked about how the right support system doesn't just show up, they're prepared with you. And so now I want you to take a second and really think, if labor started right now, would you feel completely prepared? Not just logistically like we talked about, but would you feel mentally, emotionally, and physically ready to handle anything that comes? Because birth, like I said, is not about knowing every possible outcome. It's about knowing no matter what happens, that you will know how to navigate it. And that's what makes the difference between a woman who feels shaken in labor and someone who feels steady. So if today's class was good for you and you're thinking, okay, I see it, I need to prepare differently now, I have something for you, and it's not just another birth class, it's actually what I teach my birth coaching clients, and I want to give it to you completely free. It's going to help you eliminate fear and feel in control of your birth experience. I will drop the link. It's my free mini birth prep class. It's under 30 minutes. I know you're busy. And it walks you through the foundational steps of preparing in the right way so that you can start feeling overwhelmed and start feeling truly in control. And of course, if you loved it, I really hope that you join me next week. I'm going to be diving into what most birth prep classes actually miss and why it matters if you want that unmedicated birth.